Welcome back to Basketball Strike, where we break down the biggest dramas, the wildest trades, and the untold stories shaking up the court. If you live for the truth behind the headlines,
Odom's new love is being reported out that he is linked out to transgender actress, honey, Miss Danielle Alexis.
what if I told you that some of the NBA's most famous stars have been romantically linked to individuals from the transgender and broader LGBTQ+ community? These stories go far beyond the usual relationship drama you hear about. For example, Lamar Odom was tied to transgender model Danielle Alexis, while Ray Allen found himself at the center of allegations about secret relationships with men. These cases raise questions about how NBA players navigate love, image, and identity. Let's take a closer look, starting with Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard is an 8-time All-Star and NBA champion, but even his decorated career couldn't shield him from one of the most explosive scandals involving alleged relationships with both transgender women and gay men. The allegations against Howard don't just come from whispers or casual gossip. They are supported by court filings, leaked text messages, and multiple accusers, all painting a picture of a man whose private life looks very different from his carefully managed public image. As far back as 2018, individuals like Mason Allige accused Howard of secretly maintaining relationships with transgender women, and even attending parties centered around that community. The accusations weren't presented as isolated incidents, but rather as part of a larger pattern that suggested Howard had long been active in LGBTQ+ spaces, even while publicly denying it. The details given in these allegations were striking in their specificity. Accusers described parties and intimate encounters in ways that sounded like they came from people who had actually been present, not outsiders making guesses. Then came the most damaging revelation of all. In 2023, a man named Stephen Harper filed a lawsuit against Howard, claiming a threesome took place between himself, Howard, and a transgender woman named Kitty. During the legal proceedings, Howard admitted that the encounter was consensual, essentially confirming his involvement with both men and transgender women, despite his public insistence otherwise. The court documents included explicit details, the kind of information that would be nearly impossible to fabricate without first-hand involvement. Perhaps the most telling moment came when one of Howard's former partners recalled him saying, "If this makes me gay, then I'm gay." That single line reveals a man caught between two identities, someone struggling with self-acceptance, grappling with his sexual identity, and attempting to reconcile his private desires with the straight persona he has presented to the world. His evasive and defensive reactions when questioned directly about his sexuality only fueled speculation further. In one viral moment, when asked, "Are you gay, bro?" Howard angrily shut down the conversation, saying, "Why are we even talking about this? It's nobody's business." His refusal to answer, combined with his claim that his private life doesn't concern others, suggested he was hiding secrets he wasn't ready to admit. The timeline of his personal life also raised eyebrows. In 2024, Howard married Amy Luciani, but the union ended in divorce just a year later, in 2025. The timing lined up with another wave of renewed speculation about his sexuality, reinforcing the idea that Howard's attempts to maintain a conventional heterosexual image through marriage had collided once again with his hidden relationships. The public image and the private life simply could not coexist. And as wild as Dwight Howard's transgender dating allegations may sound, they were just the beginning. Lamar Odom's situation would soon prove just as controversial. Lamar Odom, known for his NBA success and his high-profile marriage to Khloe Kardashian, became the subject of intense speculation in 2022 when rumors surfaced about his relationship with transgender model Danielle Alexis. While Odom and Alexis both insisted they were just friends, the evidence painted a more complicated picture. Alexis posted photos with Odom on Instagram, including captions such as, "One of the most beautiful humans I've met," language that many fans and insiders believed hinted at something deeper than casual friendship. The chemistry displayed in the images, paired with the conveniently timed meeting at the BET Awards, looked more like the beginning of a romance than a platonic bond. The swiftness of Odom's camp in denying any romantic involvement added to the suspicion. His representatives issued carefully worded statements emphasizing that he respected the transgender community but insisting there was no romance. The phrasing seemed polished, almost rehearsed, signaling public relations management at work rather than a straightforward denial. Observers pointed out that Alexis bore a resemblance to Khloe Kardashian, Odom's ex-wife, suggesting he might have a type that blurred traditional gender lines. Industry insiders hinted that Odom's long-documented struggles with addiction may have lowered his inhibitions, opening the door to relationships he may have suppressed in the past. During his 2015 overdose at a Nevada brothel, reports indicated he had previously engaged with sex workers of different backgrounds, possibly including transgender individuals. This fueled speculation that his connection with Alexis may have been more intimate than the public narrative allowed. According to some sources, Odom and Alexis maintained private contact long after the public speculation died down. His discomfort when asked directly about transgender relationships only intensified the rumors. On multiple occasions, Odom has been seen walking out of interviews when pressed about the subject, behavior more consistent with someone protecting secrets than with someone who has nothing to hide. The careful balancing act between denial and discomfort mirrored what many interpreted as a man still trying to manage his public reputation while keeping parts of his private life hidden. If Odom's PR-driven denial seemed calculated, they looked almost transparent compared to the next player's story, Jason Collins, who hid his sexuality for years behind what many believe was a strategic cover. Before Jason Collins became the face of LGBTQ+ acceptance in the NBA, rumors had long circulated in league circles about his true identity. The most intriguing part of his story wasn't that he eventually came out in 2013. It was the years leading up to it. For 8 years, Collins was engaged to WNBA player Carolyn Moose, only to abruptly call off their wedding in 2009. The timing raised eyebrows and left Moose devastated. She later revealed she felt betrayed by Collins for not disclosing his sexuality during their engagement. Was the engagement itself part of an elaborate cover to protect his secret? The duration suggested it might have been. Collins later admitted he always knew the truth about himself but lived a lie, comparing it to looking at a blue sky and telling yourself it's red. He confessed that he had fought his identity for years, living a double life. Insiders claimed Collins wasn't just hiding from the public. He was also quietly dating men while maintaining his engagement to Moose. Years later, Collins began openly dating film producer Brunson Green, and the two eventually married in 2025. However, sources have suggested their relationship may have started far earlier, possibly even during Collins's NBA career. His choice to wear jersey number 98, which he said was to honor Matthew Shepard, has been interpreted by some former teammates as a coded signal to the gay community, suggesting Collins had already been connected to LGBTQ+ circles long before his coming out. When President Barack Obama personally called to congratulate him on coming out, Collins appeared calm and prepared, almost as though he had rehearsed for that moment. His composure suggested this wasn't a spontaneous decision, but rather the culmination of years of quiet preparation while maintaining secret relationships. And Collins wasn't alone in this. Another NBA player, John Amici, was also rumored to have lived in secrecy while actively dating men during his playing days. John Amici, who played in the NBA from 1995 to 2003, stunned the sports world when he came out in 2007. But according to many, his revelation was less of a surprise and more of a confirmation. Basketball insiders had long suspected that Amici was living a closeted gay life while navigating the league. In his memoir, he described the hypermasculine and often homophobic culture of the NBA, pointing out how casual slurs and insults were ingrained in locker room banter. His perspective went beyond detached observation. It came across as the lived experience of someone who had been secretly involved in the very dynamics he described. Amici spoke openly about the intimacy shared among teammates, saying the closeness sometimes felt like a relationship, even without sex. His words resonated as those of someone who had personally felt that tension. Sources claim Amici had romantic relationships with men during his career, carefully concealing them from teammates and the media. Teammates later hinted they had long suspected he was seeing men during road trips or private moments away from the public eye. Since coming out, Amici has remained highly private about his personal life, but his work as an advocate suggests an attempt to make up for years of silence. Some believe his decision to publish his memoir was motivated not just by courage, but also by guilt for hiding his truth while other athletes suffered alone. His deep familiarity with the homoerotic aspects of sports culture sounded less like theory and more like the perspective of someone who had lived it. While Amici quietly lived his truth in private, Dillon Brooks found himself facing transgender-related rumors that blew up into a scandal of their own. Before Dillon Brooks fully embraced his role as the NBA's villain, he had already been surrounded by controversy, especially involving his alleged relationship with a woman known as Big Bambina. The story spiraled out of control when his ex-girlfriend, Heather Hawley, accused Brooks of cheating with Bambina, who was widely rumored at the time to be transgender. Though Bambina later proved she wasn't transgender by releasing her birth certificate, the rumors had already spread too far to contain. The accusations suggested more than casual gossip. They looked like deliberate attempts to damage Brooks's reputation. Ex-partners often know personal details that outsiders wouldn't, making Hawley's claims seem more credible. Reports indicated Brooks and Bambina may have been connected as far back as 2021, hinting at a longer-term relationship than either acknowledged publicly. Bambina's familiarity with Brooks's schedule and habits on social media suggested an intimacy that went beyond casual acquaintance. What made this story even more curious was Brooks's silence. He never addressed the rumors publicly, choosing instead to let the speculation swirl. For many, his refusal to defend himself suggested he either received legal advice to stay quiet, or simply didn't want to confront uncomfortable truths about his personal preferences. When Bambina later deleted her social media accounts entirely, it fueled suspicions that there was more to the story than she or Brooks were willing to admit. But if Brooks tried to stay silent, the next story involves a player who found himself unable to fully escape public scrutiny: Ray Allen. Ray Allen's Hall of Fame career and reputation as a family man couldn't protect him from one of the NBA's most complicated scandals. In 2017, Allen claimed he was the victim of a catfishing scheme carried out by Bryant Coleman, who allegedly pretended to be multiple women online. But Coleman told a very different story. He insisted he and Allen had been in a genuine 3-year romantic relationship. The explanation offered by Allen, that he was duped repeatedly by a stranger pretending to be different women, raised more questions than it answered. Why would a wealthy, experienced athlete continue engaging with such an obvious deception over such a long period? Coleman's version of events, backed by alleged private messages, photos, and even videos, suggested something much deeper: a consensual relationship between two adults that Allen later tried to reframe as victimization. The length and consistency of their alleged contact didn't fit the usual pattern of catfishing. Instead, it indicated a bond with emotional and physical depth. While Allen maintained his story publicly, Coleman's counterclaims found traction because of the extensive and detailed evidence he presented. What unfolded looked less like a one-sided scam and more like the unraveling of a carefully hidden relationship that clashed with the image Allen had built as an NBA superstar and devoted family man.